Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Scott. We're the Bridge Berry Patch. I've had a lot of people ask me about how I do my corner bracing with my T-posts, so today we're going to go through it. So stick around and hit that subscribe button if you like what you see.
Look who knows so much, huh?
I do my corner bracing the exact same way that I do my trellis system. You need 2 T-posts and some wire. You can either use, I would suggest using no smaller than 12 gauge wire here. And the other option is, which is what I did on all my corners of my fence, is just some 12-2 wire, electrical wire. Pretty cheap, pretty available. And what's nice about this is there's 3 strands in one. So when you cut this open, this outer wrapping, there's three wires inside. So today I'm going to use this. First thing we need to do is cut this open and expose the wire. And I usually take about 18 inches worth because I'd rather have too much than too little. So to cut it open, just straighten it out a little bit. Get a sharp utility knife. Cut away from yourself, cut away from your knees, cut away from everything. And just slice down the center of the jacket, wire jacket. Close that back up. Then you just open it up like this. And you have 3 wires available to use. Like I said, I'm going to take about 18 inches plus of this wire. Hey, Toby. I'm going to cut them. There we go. Now we got 3 wires to use. And they're not going to rust because they're copper. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stick these T-posts, the vertical T-post, in the ground. And the T-post is obviously shaped like a T. See, it's a T. And the top of the T has these notches on them. And these notches are going to be facing where the load is. And load is where the weight, where we're going to be pulling towards. So for 2 reasons. One, for the angled T-post, we're going to have something to push against with these notches. And the second thing is that's where the bracket is welded onto the T-post. It will stop it from pushing forward and from bending over. So we're going to have 2 points of support to hold the load of the wire going towards our berries. So we're going to get our T-post driver and we're going to drive this into the ground just above this bracket. If you don't have a T-post driver, I would highly suggest getting one. It's just a heck of a lot easier, especially if you have a lot of T-posts to drive in. If you're only going to do 2 or 3, no big deal. You could just use a hammer or a mallet or something. But if you're going to be doing more than that, T-post driver is the way to go. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start driving in the angled T-post into the ground. And I want the top of the T-post to be relatively close to the top of the vertical T-post to have the most support. I also want to have the notches facing each other. So on this T-post, I have the notches facing load. On this one, I want the notches facing the vertical T-post. That way I have 2 flat sides to push up against and connect with the wire. So this flat side here will be pushing up against this flat side here. And I'm going to have it just about, I like to have it just about where the paint starts on these. So I'm going to bring it back just a little bit. So that means at this point, all of this here is going to be in the ground. So I'm going to have about 12 inches of the T-post into the ground down there, which is perfect because that's about the point that the welded on bracket starts appearing. So I'm going to start with this thing. I'm going to put on my earmuffs because that's really loud. So it started with the hammer, and we're going to continue with the T-post, the driver. There. So now we have one that's vertical and one that's an angle, and they're matching up. I was yelling because I had my earmuffs on. So we want those 2 to be relatively flat to each other, and so the notches touch. Now I'll bring you in a little closer, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is why I have the 2 notches facing each other, because it creates the 2 flat sides that I can push up against each other right here. And the notches hold this from moving forward and this one here is being pushed further into the ground, and which is the load being pulled that way. So if I go this way, that's not going to go anywhere. So next thing we're going to do is take our wire, and we're going to connect the wires so they don't go anywhere. So the next thing I have to do is I have to attach this to this with the wire that I cut earlier with a figure 8 around these two wires. That way this T does not bump above this notch here. You want to keep this below this notch, so there's always going to be tension against this here. So we're going to, I'm going to have this flat against here so it's below the notch. I'm going to attach this wire to the angled T bracket. I'm going to go around that. I'm going to start my figure 8. If you feel like you're not getting enough tension, grab your pair of pliers and just pull. So you always have enough tension around the two T-posts. And once you get to the end, I like wrapping it right around the center of the 8. And that way, I like wrapping around the center of the 8. And that way there's always tension around both T-posts. There. That T-post is not going anywhere. I can put a full load of berries or a fence that towards the direction I have the horizontal T-post. It's really not going to go anywhere. It works fantastic for my fence. I've had my fence up for 3 years now. 2 years now. And I've had no issues with it falling down. So that's how I do my corner brackets and the trellis system for my berries. If anybody has any questions about my T-posts or my berry farm or anything else, please let me know. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the next one.